Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rebel TV. Apologies that we're a couple minutes late tonight. We're having a lot of fun, actually, preparing for this night's episode. So tonight it's actually going to be just me and Mike, who will magically appear, poof, at some point. And and we're going to be sharing with you the 3 weird ways that you can become a change magician. So we're really excited about this topic because this is probably about the opposite of how I was when Mike and I first met more than 11 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. A long time ago, back when we first met, I actually had a lot of anxiety. I was someone who was always anxious about stuff, and in order to feel less anxious, I used to try and predict what was going to happen. I used to spend a ton of time figuring out ways that I could always know what was going to happen, that I could always predict based on patterns. So I was always expecting, that the same thing is going to happen over and over. So it's kind of like over time we put ourselves in these boxes in order to feel safe, these boxes of how things are going to be, and after a while you realize, hello, a magician. But after a while, you start to realize that the more and more you try and predict the future, and the more you try and see, what you're expecting to have happen, the tighter and tighter your world becomes. You can put that down. Well, it's really distracting, like trying to talk and like, okay. So, yes, that's what we're talking about tonight. Change. You see, change is something that happens all the time. And the only way to make peace with change is to embrace change and to realize that that's the only thing that is definitely, absolutely going to happen, is that change will occur. Now, what happens is so many of us get
change is a constant.
Change is the only constant. Yes, change is the only constant that there is in life. So when you are fighting this, you tend to be trying to avoid bad changes. So you're trying to make everything perfectly predictable, and you kind of slowly put yourself into a box of where you feel like you know what's always going to happen all the time. But what happens is you end up feeling very stuck. And from your perspective, nothing is ever going to change. When truthfully, it's all going to change. That there's no doubt about that. And when you start to embrace change, you can direct the change. You can become a change magician. And there's actually a couple of weird things that you can do that we're going to tell you about tonight. But I just ranted and raved for like 4 minutes straight. So share with me, Mike, what's your perspective on change? Change is a constant, right? So what we do is we like to constantly embrace change, and at first it's a little bit scary when you're used to trying to make everything predictable. To say, okay, how do we embrace change? How do we figure out that, how to create change and direct change? Well, it starts by just making changes. Making weird changes, and that's one of the things that we've really embraced. Is when you make.
Why are we making changes? Why do we have to make changes?
You have to make changes because they're going to happen anyway. So if you make them, you get used to change.
But why do we have to make changes?
I just answered that question.
Well, you said it's going to happen anyway.
Because change is constant.
But what if you really like this routine, like you watch Game of Thrones and then you go to bed and you go to work and you go home and you play a computer game, and you really like that. Does change have to come?
Yeah, change is always going to have to come. Change will come in some way, shape, or form. So the only way to not feel like anxiety around it coming, like what we put ourselves into those routines in order to feel safe. And you probably see it in kids too. Like our son Tristan is like a routine junkie. He loves his routine, and if anything is out of place in his routine, he freaks out because he doesn't know what to expect. But the more you can embrace the fact that this is going to happen, then it's like your mind starts to not only accept that change is happening, it starts to realize that change is the norm rather than the routine is the norm. When you think routine is the norm, you also think you project out into the future that is never, ever, ever going to change, which means that you're cutting yourself off from all kinds of future possibilities that you could be creating. Yeah. Which means then that that you're probably, even if you're going for something, you're not going to get it because you're still sort of stuck in your routine, even if you're wanting to create a positive change in your life. So you need to start to embrace the concept of change, of all change of any kind, so that your brain gets used to that as the norm, so that then you can move forward and create the positive changes that you want to create, and realize that you can direct change. So what are some of the weird ways that you change, that you create change in your daily life?
Well, I don't really get stuck to anything in the first place, because I think at some stage I figured out that that things are going to constantly change, and it will be kind of unhealthy if I stick to things. I think it's just that I see people who are very rigid and stuck to their things. Like, this is the way things are. This is what suits me, and I don't want anything different. And I just don't like those people. You know,
I think that's like everybody, though. It's most people.
I'm sorry, I don't like most people. But I don't like when I see people like, if they don't want to better themselves in any way, if they don't want to, have something to improve, and they're stuck in a certain way, like if they're a certain type of character and stuff, that's okay. But if they're in any way complaining about their situation and they're obsessed with just being themselves, and they hold on to crap like, well, I'm just being me. I am what I am. I'm being true to myself. All that stuff pisses me off. I hate seeing people like stuck like that.
Well, I think we sort of find ourselves there. So when you're a kid, it's like people are constantly telling you what's right and what's wrong. So you start to have a concept of black and white, of things have to be one way or the other. I was talking today about her son is toilet training. It's like one day his whole world, the normal thing that you do when you need to go is you just go because you're wearing a nappy or a diaper for American. But then one day it's gone, and when you go, then everything's wet and it's messy, and someone's telling you to do something that you've never done before, and they're telling you that that's right, and the way you've always done it is wrong, And so then it's confusing, and you're instantly sort of like, okay, well, I just have to follow what these people are telling me. My parents are telling me that this is the way things are supposed to be, so they start to follow that. Right? But then it's like a child's world sort of keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller as we're saying no, no, no to things that as parents we don't want them to do. But they're not necessarily rights or wrongs. That's just our opinion. And so then the child's world is kind of ending up being really like, okay, this is the right way and this is the wrong way. And so when you grow up, then you get a job, and then there's even more rights and wrongs, and you go through school where there's answers are either right or wrong. And there's not, in some things there's room for interpretation. But then what happens when, for example, you get all the way to life and you want to create a home business, like most people watching Rebel TV either have a home business or they're trying to create one. And then you're hearing around you, no, that's not the done thing. That's not how we do things. Or you're looking at your life going, this is never going to change because it's been this one way. Then it becomes difficult to create change because you haven't allowed for room for it. You've been kind of making sure that you fit with whatever arbitrary rules have been set for how things are supposed to be.
I think it's easy for people running a home business to kind of, and they're still in a full-time employment, like you go to work and you're told, you go there, this goes there, you fall into your slots, and then you come home and you're kind of in the same kind of mode when you go to do your business, and you kind of just look for other people and go, you're looking for like to be told that, this goes here and that goes there, where working your own business, it's exactly that. It's your own business. Like if you imagine it being like somebody who has a pizza shop or something. That guy isn't every day going to other pizza shops and going, how do you do this? You put pizza over here and you run this shop like this. He has to figure things out himself and if something happens, something changes, he has to just roll with it and go with himself. Like, just think of anyone who's self-employed. He just has to kind of,
roll.
Yeah.
Fluid.
Yeah, and if anything happens, like a new law comes in, no more putting these things on pizzas, or you can't have this many people in your shop, or all this kind of stuff. He just has to roll with the punches and keep on changing. You have to be in a constant state of change if you want to keep your business going. But that's what keeps the lights on in his house and puts food on his table and stuff like that. So he's like going to be on it straight away. Yeah. But when you have a job and you're working this business, it's so easy to kind of come up towards something that's a bit of a barrier and kind of leave it alone for a good while.
Yeah.
And then ask a bunch of people how do you get past this thing? If you don't receive an answer for weeks, they just sit there, whereas you should be treating it like it's your pizza shop.
Well, it's interesting too. So one of the things that we were talking about is how do you adjust to this idea that change is going to happen, and that you can direct it. Well, part of it is just making change part of your everyday life, which is a little bit challenging because immediately that you're like, okay, I'm going to add change to my routine. It's like, well, you can't really routine change. So it starts with attacking the things that are just the norm, the way it's done, when there's no purpose. There's no set purpose for that. Like we were saying, one of the things that's really useful when you want to create change is continually finding different ways to drive home or to drive a route that you normally drive. If you go to work and you come home and you always drive one route because it's fastest, ask yourself on some day, hey, is it important for me to be there at a set? So you probably want to do this on the way home rather than on the way to work. So is it important for me to be there at a set time? If not, try picking a different route. Just to say, hey, look, we're not stuck in this route. We can change it at any time. And it's going to change because life changes.
It's not my favorite way.
Because life changes and the world changes. So that's one immediate thing you can do. In fact, every single day, just make it a goal that you will change something up. One of the things I did recently was follow ultra reading, which is, instead of reading books straight through, you take a stack of books and you read bits from each one of them for 2 minutes for each book. So you're kind of flicking through, trying to get something from it. And so what you're doing there is you're letting go of feeling like I should be reading this cover to cover. Because the purpose of reading a book is to get something from it, is to learn something from it. And you can learn something from it in a different way. We shared recently on Rebel TV that when the clocks went back in Ireland, we or in America, and we were still waiting for our clocks to go back, we finally went, screw it, let's just change our clocks. So there would be outside time, and then we had what we called Murph Chops Manor time, which was 1 hour different from everyone else in Ireland. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Like clocks are kind of an arbitrary way of us all agreeing upon what time of the day it is, but the sun sure as heck says something different in summertime here. So we were just adjusting with what our kids and our bodies wanted to do, which was get up earlier and change the clocks back. So it's these interesting little things that it becomes this exciting thing to see how much can I challenge my viewpoint of the world and open up to new possibilities, because every time you do that, you feel more freedom, and then you feel more possibilities. It's in our labels and boxes and definitions that we cut ourselves off from possibilities. And a lot of this as well is definitions and ideas of ourselves. In fact, do you remember when you used to hate beer? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And what did you do?
Drank some.
Yeah, you were like, I'm going to like this. One day you were like, I think that it would be cool to be able to drink beer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you started doing it. And at first you were like, eh.
Well, it wasn't that I couldn't drink alcohol. I was drinking hard.
Everything.
Hard, and I like drinking a certain quantity of liquid. So if I wanted to just chill out on an evening like I am now, I'd be hammered by the end of this. hang out.
Yeah.
So I wanted to drink something that would take a while, like beer, but I didn't like beer, so just decided to just fight through and acquire that taste.
Yeah. Now he like drinks all kinds of beers, and you like go out and try specific types, and you have like such a taste for beer. It's really funny. Like we're actually really different. Mike is one of those people who's like challenge everything. Everything can change. I'm one of those people who lives in a world where things can be scary with change, but the more and more that I challenge it, the more possibilities open up. And so a lot of it is in imagining what's possible, and then making little changes in your day that align more with that. So if you're
Could do with eggs and tea
at
too.
eggs and tea, yeah.
Cause
You did some NLP stuff.
yeah, kind of some self hypnosis stuff.
You couldn't even eat eggs. You would gag.
Yeah,
It's
some
weird.
kind of like childhood mental thing. Something happened, and the idea of eating egg, like seeing other people eat egg, made me kind of drag. If I smelt tea in a room, I'd kind of puke into my own mouth and have to go to the toilet.
Lovely.
And if somebody was talking to me and it smelled like tea, I'd have to just go somewhere and try not to get sick. But yeah, I fixed that, and I can drink it. Not mad about tea, but I can drink it and not puke.
Yeah.
And I eat eggs all the time.
Eat eggs like every day.
But I did this not for, well, I wanted to have like a protein and eggs and stuff. But I did it mostly to test to see if this would work. I like the idea of having that challenge to see, can I change something? Can I control something? And at the time I was thinking, more things I can control about me, better, I reckon. Like, if you're in full control of everything, you can take over the universe.
But see, like you would always tell me that eggs were disgusting, that you hated them, and it's like that's a definition of yourself to say I don't like eggs, but that it was something that was still changeable. All that needed to happen was for you to see that it was possible, and that was from reading an NLP ebook.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's possible to like something that you've always hated. Let me try. So really, when you want to create change, there's a few different things you can do. Like if you want to create something in your life and you feel like you're stuck, or you feel like you're in a routine, or you feel like things are the way they are and they will always be like that because they always have been like that, challenge what you believe about yourself by taking something like you don't like I don't like this, or I don't. My big one is I always say I'm out of energy by this time of day, or I don't have enough energy to have conversations past a certain time at night. I always used to say that to you. And then one day I was like, well, I'm going to start believing that actually conversations give me energy. And it worked like almost instantly because I started just saying that to myself. Conversations give me energy. And I stopped saying the other thing, and all of a sudden it just like changed. So as a challenge to yourself, do something different today, like drive a different way, shop at a different store, have a different reaction than you might have had before. Go for a walk, go do something that you haven't done before, or explore parts of your neighborhood that you haven't seen before, because it will make you feel like there's more freedom and more possibility.
Look back in time after you've done this and see if it actually works. And when it works, that's even better. Then it becomes more powerful. You get references in your brain, and you can pick a better thing. Something even way bigger, like that would make life a hell of a lot easier, more comfortable, more cool. Something.
Yeah, it's like we hired someone to cut our grass a couple weeks ago, or a week ago or so, and actually our grass had grown so high that like several gardeners came out and said that they wouldn't do it, or their machines weren't big enough to do it, which I thought was hilarious.
There's a velociraptor living in the grass.
Oh yes, clearly. But what was really funny actually was the online response was all, well, if you do X, Y, and Z, like just buy this type of machine, you can do it yourself. It'll save you money in the long run. And I remember thinking, well, like, who said we want to save money in the long run? Who says that we don't want to save energy? Like maybe we want to save ourselves a ton of hassle. So to me, it's like taking your normal way of looking at things and say, well, what if I took a completely different perspective on this? Because that would have been my perspective too. I'd always been the budgeter that saved money in the long run, do the thing that it takes the least amount of money. But like, what if the commodity you were precious about wasn't money? What if it was your own sense of time? Yeah, your time is worth more.
Forever for me to do that.
Yeah, that would have taken us days. And we're immensely grateful that someone was able to just come along and do it. Actually, I was upstairs when I heard a machine turn on, and I was sitting there going, oh, I wish there was someone cutting our grass. And it turned out that it was. I looked out the window and I was like, oh, you just arrived and started cutting the grass. So yes, so change beliefs about yourself, change routines. Like, have routines if they give you structure, but then change them up enough, do enough to send your brain the signal. Change happens. It's happening right now. It's going to happen anyway, so you can direct it in a way you want, and start to document, start to look at the positive changes.
Especially change your routine after you've achieved something. Like, we had to make like solid routines to get like our first few goals, like putting the 9 to 5 behind it, putting work behind it, so that you just be a stay-at-home family. Routine had to change as soon as that was achieved. You know, whenever we're approaching a goal, we can't get further past the goal unless you make changes, because that thing always pops up, that feeling of you're sitting around and you've achieved what you wanted, and you're kind of like, okay, I've got some free time now, and then you have these weird panic attacks of like, do I actually have free time, or am I just forgetting to do a million things I'm supposed to be doing? So you change by making another routine.
Yeah, but clearly,
set new goals.
Like, it's all like really, and we call this the 3 weird ways. It's like, seriously, be as weird about it as you can. Like, if the idea that you could like tea, or that you could like beer, or that you could enjoy something that you previously hated, or change something. If that idea is just alien to you, then it's the perfect one to just try on. Just try it on for a day. Give yourself a challenge. Challenge yourself to do something totally different, like take a different route, change it up, and do the weirder ones. They work better.
I'm going to challenge myself to stop mumbling on Apple TV.
Oh, you must enunciate clearly.
I just got a message saying stop mumbling.
Did you really? Aww. I love your mumbling. So yes, change, everybody, change. You can do it. You can do it today. So it's Being Freedom Friday. We want to take a moment to congratulate the Rebels on Rebel Wins, which you were supposed to have queued up, which are now disappeared.
There they are. There you go.
Rebel Wins. All right. Congratulations, Sarah, for posting your first ad and getting results from it straight away. Awesome. Kelly had an awesome one. Kelly had New York Life, which is an insurance company, like one of her tweets and ask if they could use some of her content in the future, which, as a blogger, that's freaking awesome. Jackie spent most of the week away from work because it was her daughter's birthday this week, so she decided to spend pretty much the whole week celebrating, and had a very busy week outside of work. But she actually got...
On birthday?
Yeah, why not? I mean, gosh, fun. They were having so much fun. Did you see all the pictures on Facebook? It was like ridiculous amount of fun. Jackie, you guys just had way too much fun. You got it. But she actually got more traffic and more opt-ins, even while being out having fun, just because of pre-planning stuff. Because she changed up the routine that still worked, right? God, I don't think I could take longer birthdays. Darcy's already like, can we buy my birthday cake today? Can we buy it today? Can we? Like, every time we go shopping, and her birthday's not till August. Now, Dorita, Kelly, and Mindy all made it to day 50 of their Don't Break the Chain challenge, which is working 50 days in a row, and I'm super impressed, you guys, and the results you guys are getting are fantastic. It's just getting so much more and more fun, so much better as we go. And the new members, and welcome to our new members as well. We have Corrine, Denise, Carol, Carla, and Michelle. Welcome to the new Rebels. We're so happy to have you here. So I feel like we were all over the place in terms of giving you direct, this is how to do it. But you know what? It's because you have to be weird. Like, you have to pick what's weird for you, what's a change for you, and take it and embrace it. And then use it as your evidence that change is happening and that you are the director of the change. You can direct your change at any point. And one change that I don't know about you, but I think...
Prepared. That was a change.
No, we didn't really prepare, but we off the cuff it. It was fun, but one change we would encourage everybody to make is becoming part of the Rebels if you're not already, because that is the place which will help you to live the life of your dreams, to create success with a team of people that will lock arms with you, and to have massive change in a positive way in your life. Super exciting stuff. So click on the link below this video to become part of the Rebels, and for all the Rebels, happy Freedom Friday! It's just fun. Alright guys, so we will see you on Monday at 3 p.m. I'm not sure who's on it, but it's going to be another fabulous episode of Rebel TV. See you there, everyone. Click the link below and join us. Bye! And you have to press a button because your arms are longer.
This button?
Yeah, stop! Stop! Stop!
Stop working. Keep waving. Press it.